Yeah, so we got the first one out of the way, and it's still with minor technical difficulties, but we're back up and rolling for the second time.
The equipment might last this time.
Maybe. We'll see. We're still new at this, so we still need money.
So you could find us on Patreon, and there's the graphic there. Or just follow us and listen to us for free on Twitter.
We'll just be broke.
Or Instagram.
So, we ranted about a few things last time, and seems that there's no shortage of stuff going around, like some crazy pants in Jacksonville. I'm thinking this kid's a sore loser. I mean, I don't know.
Totally. It was a competitor in that video game. For people who don't know, it was a Madden playoff or a Madden tournament, and this prize was $5,000, but like the next prize was going to be over $100,000.
Yeah, they were going to Vegas or something, right?
Yes, they were going to Vegas, and this guy, whatever, he had a mustache, lost. And I know it's like, but you got to make people laugh, at times like this. But he lost, and then he shot up the place. He shot 12 people injured and 2 dead, I think it was. 3 counting himself, because he killed him. He committed suicide because he couldn't face the consequences of what he just did.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, like this goes. This has gotten way out of hand as far as like people's reaction to stuff. I am not blaming guns. We're not going to get into the gun control argument on here because
that's for somewhere other place.
Yeah, that's other stuff.
This is fandom.
What I'm kind of where I'm kind of going is like people's reaction to stuff. This was a video game. Yeah, there was money on the line. I've been in video game tournaments. I've participated in the Gran Turismo stuff. With the Nissan Drivers Academy, and I lost out. I was bad compared to some of these other cats that were, they waxed me. It's like left me wondering how I even got chosen to begin with. But, I lost.
You didn't want to kill anyone.
No, I lost. I got that far, and there were people better than me. I went home. I was kind of bummed about it because I wanted to go further than what I did, but...
Hey, that's life.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing about this is that it sparked off a lot of new conversation about violent video games. And
you know what?
The video game in question was not a violent one. It's a football video game. There's no guns in the game. So, are they going to try to say that the kid also liked to play a game with guns in it, and that's how he chose to solve his problems? I don't think so.
No, because you don't see the NFL players like going and gunning each other down after they lose each game. We'd be a far shortage football players, pretty fast if that happened.
That were allowed.
As many people would like to shoot Tom Brady, you can't do that.
But this is just, and it also damages this kind of thing for America, because professional video games is not as big here as it is in Asia. Professional video game players and all that, they've got some game players that make money like some of our professional athletes do.
Yeah, the thing is, like, and that's some of the people that I got beaten by in the Gran Turismo. Some of these Asian kids that they sat down and it was like they strapped into the seat of the car almost, and we're just like zing, 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 and I'm like, okay.
They practice more than you.
Way more. But okay, the point is, it's like you're playing a video game when it comes down to it. I don't care what interaction you have. I don't care if it's a tournament. It's a video game. Get over it and get on with your life.
This guy must have been like strung out and owed some gangsters some money or something like that, and I gotta win this tournament, and
you know what, this day and age, not necessarily. It could be just some random guy that wanted 5 G's and a chance to move on, and then I'm
romanticizing it.
That sort of a loser.
Yeah, it's more than likely he was just a sore loser, and
yeah, which it needs to stop seriously, this is idiotic because the next thing we're going to hear about is something happening at a convention.
Yes, and I don't want that, as I love conventions.
We all love
And
conventions.
This was pretty much like a video game con. So,
well, they do have tournaments at most cons, but I mean, I think this was like specific like video game tournament.
there's already enough bad shit happening at public parties and public conventions and stuff like that without having to worry about shooters. However, if you do shoot at a convention, please be aware that you will run out of ammunition, and a lot of these guys have armor and swords,
and a lot of them are not dull.
and they'll come at you in waves. So that's just the thing. Sorry, we have Vikings.
Yeah. So, speaking of conventions, Dragon Con's coming up this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Dragon Con.
I wish I were going to Dragon Con.
Honestly, I got to be on the other side of the fence. People that are friends with me already know that I'm not a big fan of Dragon Con anymore, and the reason being is because I started going back in the dark ages. I'm showing my age here yet again, but back when it was 1 and 2 hotels, like the Hyatt and the Marriott down in Atlanta, and it was way more intimate. It was, I don't know, I had more fun because it was less crowded. It
was just the right amount of crowded. That was the golden age.
They've went from that, and then they have expanded exponentially to the point where you've got like America's Mart areas for all of the vendors, and the aquarium does something every year for Dragon Con, and that whole side of town is now just totally encompassed with it, and you've got like
the parade.
Yeah, I mean the parade's always been great, but you've got the entire convention now encompassing that much of town, and you've got like 80,000 people showing up, and it's like you get lost.
Yeah.
You get so lost so fast. It went from being able to come in and sit in a panel to if you're not there in line at the panel an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours beforehand, when you get up there, it's like, oh, sorry, it's full, can't come in.
That is a pain. You do have to camp out to get into panels.
Yeah, I remember the last time that we went, which was you and me went in 2000, what was it, 09?
No, it was 2013.
13. We went on a Thursday, and thought we were starting early. And turned out that everything had been getting turned up since Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we were still waiting 3.5 hours in line to get our passes, and we were pre-regged. So, I mean, I know that it was like 5 years ago, but from what I've seen, a lot of stuff hasn't improved, and they just keep adding on and adding on. It's too much. It's just too much for me, personally.
Well, I don't mind that it's grown. I don't mind the crowds. Like I keep saying, there are people that I only see there, and I will eventually return to Dragon Con. I'll get a pirate crew together and share a room somehow, like we used to. But I just avoid the bad stuff. If it's too crowded in an area, I'm like, well, I like to move around. I'll move to another area. I like to people watch. I've given up on panels for Dragon Con. It's just not my con for panels. Smaller cons are better for that. You're not gonna get in there to ask that fantastic question to the voice actor of your choice at Dragon Con. It's just not gonna happen. Some idiot is gonna get up there before you and waste the time. That's just and that's what they paid for. But it's oversold. That's true. They'll kind of lie about their numbers to.
Oh, they always do.
But, I ain't mad at them for that, but I don't know. It's just a certain atmosphere, and there's no other con like it. It's a world. Dragon Con is a world, and I do like to go and be a part of that world. So I mean, I'll put some effort sooner or later back into going to Dragon Con when it seems more feasible to me.
Yeah, when I'm able to take out a loan.
But I mean, it's a beautiful place to go and people watch and look at costumes, because you'll see tons of them there. The most craziest things you'll find will be at that convention. The sheer number of people doing odd things. You can't put your eyes in one direction without missing 20 things going on in all the other directions. And it's the same thing with an itinerary. My first few years going there, I had an itinerary.
I remember trying that too.
You get the book in the mail before Dragon Con. You pre-read, you get that book saying, this is who all is going to be there. And you go, yep, I'm going to go to this panel and that panel.
I'm going to get this autograph and we'll do this and we'll this. And you get there and it's like, yep, this is not, no, that's not happening.
Not happening. And so you get there and you're like, no, I'm going to go up the elevator with the Misfits. They said to come with them. So... Or something like that. These Klingons were really forceful about where they wanted me to go drink with them. So
the Wolfpack was like, "Here, try this," and the next thing I know, I'm in some room going, "Yeah!"
and that's where I first noticed safety of cons. That's where I first watched people who didn't work for the cons, but they were faces I'd seen every year, take care of it like it was theirs. Hopefully it's one of those vestiges of fandom that won't get changed too much by like the SJWs and the Comic-Con trying to get people not to use the word con as well as comic. But I don't know where any of that's going to go. I just hope it doesn't end before I can make it back to Dragon Con myself.
I don't think Dragon's gonna end anytime soon. I mean, it's huge. It's just absolutely massive.
It's just hard to buy a ticket.
Or
it's hard to get a room.
The room is a big part because the city of Atlanta does. I'm sorry, I'm calling you guys out. You jack the prices up at least 3 to 5 times what you normally charge for Dragon Con because you're gonna get it. Same thing with the restaurants and everything else around.
Taxi drivers,
Uber, Lyft drivers, you name it. Everybody knows that there is going to be a giant convention and everything gets marked up. I don't care what I don't care what rebuttal that you have or whatever else. We all know you do it. So just shut up. I don't want to hear it. So the cost is like the other big part is on top of the crowds. The greed of the city and the greed of the con and yes, I'm calling it greed because that's what it is. Everybody's trying to make their own buck, but they're doing it at the expense of people being able to do other things or being able to properly do a convention. I mean, you just can't bum around Dragon Con like you used to when we did.
Yeah.
When we were broke kids and a 4-day pass was $50, $60 walk up, and if you didn't have a room or you didn't have a whole lot of money or anything, then you were going to be taken care of still. There was this
con suite.
Well, not only the con suite, but just random people. It's like, hey, you need a place to sleep for a few hours? Yeah, okay, here's the corner. Have at, Leave be quiet when you leave if you wake up before everyone else type thing. You just can't do stuff like that anymore. And that was like part of the allure of Dragon was being able to know that,
I'm sure a lot of that still goes on. It's just
the allure of being that broke kid and, being able to go down there and do that and still just have an absolute blast and then have these awesome stories to tell when you get back. For me, I don't know, just because I'm 40 years old, and a lot of that's changed, of course, age, responsibility, whatnot. But I can't see that happening with that large of a crowd down there.
It does get weird, like when it was raining, and everybody was trying to cram inside. People ran inside, and the people were crammed so tight, it looked like there would be people getting crushed against walls and shit.
And that's the thing. That was a traffic control issue because they stopped everyone and made everyone...
They closed the tunnel.
And they closed all the tunnels. And I'm just like, well, this is idiotic. If you want flow, then let everybody move.
Yeah.
Stop freezing up, passages of travel. I know, it's, stuff like that.
That didn't make any sense to me either. I don't understand why they had to close the tunnels.
I didn't get
because it was raining. What does that mean? What's that?
I'm
Where's
sure.
the
I'm
danger?
sure the stationary weight was more of stress on the structural integrity of the tunnel than people moving constantly.
Maybe so.
Stagnant weight,
Yeah.
weighs more than just constant movement. But that stuff is supposed to be built to a structural standard anyway, so that can't be an excuse.
No.
It just, I don't know. So yeah, things like that just kind of get on my nerves. That to the point where I'm just like, do I really want to go and fight this? Do I really want to try this?
It's still worth it to me.
Do I really want to blow almost $2,000 just to go to Dragon Con? Because that's about what it is now. I'm sure some people will try and say, oh, I can do it for this much, or I'm doing, the standard person that doesn't have your little connections or your little this or that or special or whatever. It's hotel, food, pass, travel, $1,500 to $2,000.
That's if you're going to do it right.
No, that's not even doing it right. That's just surviving now.
If you get 6 or 7 people, which is cramped in a hotel room, you get 6 or 7 people and you share all of those expenses, you could get away with, if you're not going to go shopping in the dealer's room, this is bare minimum, you can get away with maybe $300 a person, and that's covering your hotel and your badge, and which is like $120 depending on when you buy it.
I don't know. It may have went up since
parking,
the last time I looked.
You might want to share parking and think about that when you go to cons. It hardly ever enters into our mind, even though parking is charged every year. But sometimes it was reasonable, and sometimes it's just, what the hell?
Parking garage is upcharged just like everyone else at Dragon Con, so you're probably paying like $50 to $60 a day just for, $50, $60 a day to keep your car parked. The hotels probably charge more if they have anything open in their garages.
Yeah, there was a place, it's an outdoor car park. I can't even tell you what street it was on. It was around Cone and Pine. It was over past the liquor store, in front of the Hyatt.
The liquor store.
Yeah, this is for real people that go to the Dragon Con all the time. There's a parking garage down there. It's just completely outdoors.
A Dragon Con membership is $160.
Good God. Jesus, that's the most it's ever been.
$160.
I knew that I got priced out of that part of my life back when it was $120. $160.
Yep.
Holy crap.
I'm sitting here looking it up right now.
That's evil. That's evil.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You shouldn't charge that much.
And the city of Atlanta is just as bad as far as the prices and marking of prices, more than they do normally, because they know they're going to get it.
Yeah, a lot of people just won't question. I'm here. I've got all this disposable income. Expendable income is what I was trying to say.
Expendable, disposable, same thing.
I'll pay for that. I'll pay for that. And tell you the truth, that's the type of fans I want to be buying my artwork.
Yeah, but if they're buying everything else that they need to survive, then they're not going to have any money to buy your artwork.
Well, I mean, the ones you see in the dealer's room actually buying stuff, that's the money I want.
Well, yeah.
They buy junk. They don't even worry about it. There's always going to be people like that. Do we got any information about changing the subject about what Goldberg said about the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony?
Other than it sucks.
Yeah, like why does he think it sucks?
Let's
Can we talk
see.
15 minutes about that?
Well, we could probably. See, this is where I would like to call Jim Cornette at some point and get him on the line, because he has some excellent opinions on the state of wrestling and how it's gone down the crapper, which I tend to agree with him a lot. Wrestling used to have a facade to it. It's like in the back of your mind, you kind of knew this wasn't all real, but you liked watching it and you liked being involved with it anyway. And then here comes people like Vince Russo, who exposes everything to the common man about
Makes it a joke.
and makes it a joke, and then you got Vince
Turns them into
McMahon.
clowns.
You got Vince McMahon on top of it that's turning, that's buying virtually every other wrestling alliance there was at the time that had any sort of TV exposure. WCW tanked, Smoky Mountain.
All of them tanked after he bought them.
Yeah. So, now there's only WWE and then, like, local sects and stuff like that, because I don't even think, like, we've got New Japan. New Japan is awesome.
It's the new
I
stuff.
love New Japan, especially since they have Jim Ross commentating. I love me some JR.
You can hear JR. Oh, that's good. I mean, because that makes it a wrestling match if JR is commentating.
Right. But then over here, I don't know, is Ring of Honor still going on?
Sorry, that was my phone. Turn that down. Ring of Honor, I don't even know. You look it up.
I know. I see it on various times when I'm like flipping through the TV, and I kind of watch it for a minute. But New Japan, I probably watch more than anything, just because it is old school. It is what I remember as a kid watching. It's that good stuff, and like I said, just having JR there, that's the cherry on top, because
and lots of our legends go over there and wrestle in New Japan under different names.
Yeah,
that's a pretty crazy. I mean, I know there's people that know that, but I'm just trying to get those new people who've just heard about New Japan wrestling for the first time. That's what it's like, and it's crazy too. It's got the same thing: guys in masks and good guys and bad guys, and it's kayfabe and all that stuff is going on in New Japan.
And let's see, I pulled up what Goldberg actually said. He said something about, first and foremost, I went to Vince and told him my impression of the Hall of Fame and what should happen. He said, I don't think it does justice to the people being inducted. I don't think it does a justice to the fans that sit there for 4 hours. I think it needs to be changed completely right on its head. I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care if the person who puts it together thinks I'm full of shit. It needs to be changed because it sucks. Which, there we go. Goldberg, he started in WCW, and it was still part of that old school vibe.
Yeah.
He had played professional football with the Falcons before that, and then, when he retired from football,
I was a Goldberg fan.
Oh yeah, Goldberg was awesome.
I was a Goldberg fan.
Giant dude.
Into it. Little legs, skinny legs, giant top.
So yeah, I apparently
he's right about that, probably, because the one where they were inducted Dusty Rhodes, and they got that statue of him. Well, that statue was ugly and did not do him justice.
Again, it goes back to the way McMahon has stuff, and it's the glitz, the glamour, the polishing of it.
It's family safe.
That's
now.
Not wrestling. That never was wrestling, and I hate to say it, but it's almost like NASCAR. When you try to polish something that in its core is not supposed to be like that, because that's the allure that it brings.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Then you're diluting the purity of the product that people gravitate towards. So, yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with both Cornette and Goldberg here in the state of things as far as like how wrestling is, because to be honest with you, I have not watched anything WWF, WWE, whatever it is now, oriented. It's like, if I do watch any wrestling, and again, it's New Japan.
All right, I like to go onto YouTube and watch the old stuff. All of it's there.
All of the nostalgia.
Yeah, every old Saturday morning wrestling show you could think of, or after school wrestling show from the 80s. It's there. You can watch that. What's a good one? Mid-Atlantic. You can catch Mid-Atlantic. You just type it into the YouTube search.
Smoky Mountain.
And Smoky Mountain, you get hours of these.
Old NWA, old AWA.
Yeah. And so I'd cue it up, get some cereal, and it's just like I've stepped back in time.
Right. And believe it or not, a lot of what you're watching is, I mean, if you're in the South,
better.
I was going to say, if you live in the southeastern U.S., then about 90% of what you're watching is going to be from places like Greenville, South Carolina at the Memorial Auditorium, or Anderson, South Carolina,
Charlotte,
Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, That, I mean, like, this was the hotbed for all that before Vince McMahon ever thought about, making whatever. It used to be called Titan Sports back in the day. I don't know what he's doing with it now. It's just
Madison
WWE.
Square Garden TV for a while.
Right, It just, and I remember, like, when he started out, it was actually okay because WWF and NWA, going into WCW, they were kind of on par with each other as far as, like, how everything went. And each of them had their own set of characters and their own flavor to it.
But WWF was nationwide, and all the other stuff wasn't really quite that nationwide yet.
Well, until Ted Turner got with them.
Yeah.
And when Ted Turner got with them, that's when they started. But even before that, like, I remember, the NWA was on
Superstation.
No, before
TBS.
that, as far as local channels, it was on Channel 13 or our local ABC affiliate, and then
Thought so. I thought it was on the Superstation.
Where you talking about TBS, because TBS used to be called the Superstation.
Yeah.
But as far as like our local stations, it was our local ABC affiliate for NWA and all that, and then I remember the WWF and a couple of the others were on
Channel 7.
the old TV 40.
WWF came on 40?
Yeah, TV 40.
See, I called it
We're
Sunday.
nostalgizing about our own channels here in South Carolina. I'm sorry about that.
On Sunday, where I lived, you could turn on the USA Network and watch All Star Wrestling, which was a WWF product.
Oh yeah, back when we first got cable.
It was the big show of the week, and then the rest of the shows were night shows like Monday night.
Yeah, Monday Nitro.
Before that, it was just Monday Night Wrestling with
Gorilla Monsoon.
Monday Night's Main Event.
Yeah,
that's what it was with Gorilla Monsoon
and Mean Gene.
Yeah, and then there was it might have been a Saturday night show, and so it was good. I liked it. I especially loved catching wrestling at night.
Well, then you had the Monday Night Wars, which was excellent as well back in the 90s.
That was a good time to watch.
The 90s.
It was good writing.
Yeah, the 90s were like that peak of.
I mean, Russo was ruining everything.
It was so that's what I'm saying. It peaked right when the Monday Night Wars started.
Yeah, the Attitude Era.
Yeah, well, back when it just started as Monday Night Nitro, and then you had Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Back when they first started, and it started to heat up before Russo really tanked it.
Yeah.
It was excellent because I don't know about you, but sit in front of the TV and we'd be flipping back and forth.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be just like watch one and be loyal.
You got that extra hour on WCW.
Yeah.
They made theirs a 3-hour show or something like that, 2-hour show.
Yeah.
To get an extra hour that they would be on and the other competitor wouldn't be. So people would just switch on over. That was pretty good.
Good stuff.
Man, we need to get guests on here. That's going to be great when we're doing that. So look forward to that. We'll figure out a way to do it.
Getting our feet wet still.
Yeah, a way will provide itself. We've already got people willing to be guests. We just need to hook up a place so that we can interview them do it on the phone.
Need better technology.
Need a little bit better technology, but that's coming. That's down the pipe. So I don't see anything else on the list here, so that seems to be the end of this one. Hope you catch us later when we do our next episode. Who knows what that one's going to be about, but it'll include fandom. You can catch us again here and here and here if you want to send us messages or ideas or be a guest on the show. Just hit us up at one of those avenues. And it's been a pleasure. You guys have a safe week.
Take it easy.